the conversion windows where it's like, they don't market to someone on day 1 and 2, but market them on day 3 only. That was 100% stolen from him. But things like that, a lot of the strategies, a lot of how we write our like lead gen ads, a lot of it's based on, he has this thing called the perfect ad formula. It's based on what Nick does. And then I talked about briefly one that we were going to ask him about it if he showed up, which he did, which is great, is the Godfather offer idea. So we talk a bit about that. But before we do that, did anyone have questions they want to ask before I'll ask questions too all day, but anyone have anything they want to ask?
Yeah, like that's your chance. I think we can riff like for hours if we needed to, for the benefit of everyone, and we have over beers. So the conversation slowed down after the first 30 minutes. But yeah, it would be an awesome opportunity. Like we could spend time throwing stuff up and writing stuff on the whiteboard, but my greatest joy is like just deep diving into your specific business and issue, and let's just get answers that you could tactically implement today, right now. So if there's anything there, otherwise we can go for it.
I don't know your last name or your company.
Nicholas.
We were going to keep it like that.
I'll put it up.
We don't.
His company is Nicholas Kusmich.
Well, the public brand.
Yeah, I guess you have an actual company name.
What is this?
It's just your name.com?
Ads manager, nicholasleisure.com.
Pretty sure I spelled it right. I've seen it enough now.
Yeah, one of the most unbrandable names out there. You got to spell it every time you say it. But
sorry, I do the same thing with my name. My wife got it wrong for 2 years.
Did you use
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to figure out is I've got a couple of different mailing lists that I would mail to daily. One of them is weekly for buyers and sellers. What are you noticing as far as building lists? Like what's working through the platforms that you are working with? Facebook, I guess, for most.
In terms of like the best structure to use to build lists?
Yeah, like what's that, because I think a lot of what you do, Andrew, is you kind of have like a form filled out for a lead.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then
like
it's up
forms?
to the agent to do that after. So what I'm doing is I'm already communicating every day or every week with a list of people. One's 14,000, one's 2,000.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I get more people into those buckets?
Like cold prospecting to get people onto those lists so that you can continue to follow up with them daily or weekly.
I always think once I have an email, because a lot of agents, it's like they'll get a lead and they'll say if they don't buy in 7 days, they're bad, right? And I've set up a lot of my business to say, okay, it's almost like you ride the bus for as long as you want, and then you ring the bell.
Right.
Like
when it's your time to get,
Dean's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, got it.
But like that's how I've set it up. Is like you can be on there for a year or a month or whatever it is, and then there'll be offers all the time.
Yeah, love that.
So what I'm wondering about is just the front end of that, about what's the best way to get an email address. That's working now. Yeah,
that's great. So we have what we call like the lead magnet matrix, and we like ask people what could you give in exchange for a name and an email address. And I think throughout the years that has changed. So if I were to ask that question like 6 to 10 years ago, what have you seen most often that people put out into the marketplace in exchange for an email address? What would you typically say or have seen?
Free reporting.
Free reports or an ebook?
List of homes or home evals?
Well, or in the real estate space, probably home evals or whatnot, or like ebooks or reports, right? How many people have downloaded a report or an ebook in this room? Okay, how many of you have consumed in its entirety from front to finish everything you've downloaded? Okay, so here's why I say that, because I knew that would happen. Oftentimes, I use the analogy of Brussels sprouts. My parents used to try to give me Brussels sprouts when I was a kid. Fans of Brussels sprouts in here? Some? Oh, jeez.
She's not going to the right restaurant.
Yeah. Well, no, like in a skillet with bacon, yes. Yeah, of course. Anything outside of that, hell no. Like my parents used to give this to me in under the guise that it was good for me. Essentially, that's what they would tell me. And so oftentimes, but the main issue was I didn't want Brussels sprouts. Right? I don't need them. I don't like them. I don't want them. Forget it. So when I usually are talking to some business owners and I'm like, well, let's give something to your marketplace in exchange to begin a relationship with a name and an email. Most of the time, you come up with Brussels sprouts, like just shit that people don't want. Like, let me give you an 80-page book about like the home buyer's market in GT. Like, who cares, right? But you're like, oh, but I have this information. Let's just give Brussels sprouts. So, what I would suggest instead is when you're thinking through what can I give my ideal prospect to engage in a relationship with them, and maybe it's a home evaluation, maybe that's what people want. However, on the other hand, there's probably everybody else who's doing that. So why would your home eval be better than another one unless you can spin something in there? So the short of it is that we have found that the best, quote unquote, best thing that you can give someone today, at least, in exchange for a name and an email address, is what we'll call a downloadable PDF. But I'll term it different things. So it could be a cheat sheet, a blueprint, a guide, a recipe, a script, a resource list, something. The point is like literally 1 to 2 pages, no more than that, that someone can consume in 4 minutes time flat. Because we have 2 commodities that we transact with, right? One is money and the other is time. And what's more valuable? Time. So if we ever ask somebody, people say there's no harm in asking. There sure is hell harm in asking. If you're going to ask somebody for one of their 2 most precious commodities, and let's call it time, and say, I need 90 minutes of your time to fill this out or read this book, you are actually asking a huge ask that usually starts a relationship off in a not so great scenario. So we call it, we call it SAGE. Did you talk about this at all?
In my course I do, but not here today.
Okay, so buy the course. You'll get a deeper variation of this.
Send you your commission check.
No, I don't. I got my pizza. We're good. So we call it SAGE, that everything that you offer to your market in the form of a 1 to 2 page downloadable PDF should be SAGE, S-A-G-E. S stands for short, again, 4 to 7 minute consumption and implementation, right? Again, if we ask someone to take too long with the thing that we are giving them, we're asking for a commodity that's going to end up backfiring to us, right? We start to resent people who ask too much from us. And so, short. Secondly is actionable. This is the difference between information and insight. So, information is a commodity these days, right? So if you want to find out anything about anything, where do you go? The Googles. So if you try to give information, technically you are competing with Google and saying, well, I could get that information anywhere.
This is the one he created with me. It's literally 2 pages.
Perfect, 2 pages.
Yeah.
And again, we're looking for actionable. So we want to know that your ideal prospect, whether they are a buyer or a seller, has something in mind, a problem that they need solving. And what I mean by that is much bigger than I need to sell my house, right? That's the bigger problem, but there's probably something else going on in their head with that. Maybe I want to sell my house at a certain price. Maybe I want to sell my house by a certain time. Maybe I want to sell my house without having to pay this much in commissions. Like there is a question or a problem that needs solving. And so when I say actionable, the thing that you give them should in fact be something that they can take and implement right away. So maybe it's the 7 things you need to know, like the 7 most important items in staging your home, right? And no, it's not having, maybe a proper towel in your main floor restroom or whatever it be. Because some people are thinking, I want to sell for my highest value. I know I need to stage, but I don't want to get ripped off. I don't want to spend too much money. So again, ask the question, what is the problem that they need solving? And then in your 2-pager, you're going to give them that solution. G is goal-oriented. So what that basically means is your prospect is looking to go from point A to point Z, right? And we'll actually go through Andrews in a second because this is great. But your prospect is looking to go from point A to point Z. Your offer here, your 2-page, 1-page downloadable PDF, should help them to go from point A to point B. If you try to go too far, too fast, A to Z in your downloadable PDF is too much, right? You're going to lose them on track. They're not going to be able to follow through. They're going to feel bad about themselves. They're going to feel overwhelmed, and they're going to be like, forget this. I can't work with this guy or this gal. They just giving me too much homework to do, right? But if you know that they're going from point A to point Z, hey, I need to stage my house. And I apologize for using staging. It's the first thing that's coming to mind. And you say, well, these are the 4 essential elements you need inside any staged home. Then they're like, oh, okay, well, now I know that by the end of this, I can go out and get those things and bam, I'm done, right? And then lastly, it's just easy. The more complicated you make something, the more probability that someone's going to fall off on the attempt to do that, and as they fall off, then again, you're losing someone who's going to say, I want to engage with this person and transact with this person and give this person my business, right? So the easier it is, hey, go out to HomeSense and buy these 4 items, right? Or go and rent these 4 items from here or wherever, right? So the idea is the simpler the better. And some of you should be like overly grateful to me right now that you don't have to go out and write a bloody report or a book, right? You literally have to compile some simple information on like, hey, 4 things to stage your house with, or, you know, what length to cut your lawn to get the, or like put the freshener that makes your house smell good in the front entry. Like, I don't know what it is, but these things, right? Simple, easy, short, actionable, goal-oriented is going to create the desire for someone then to give you something that's important to them, which is their name and their email, essentially inviting you to say, yes, I would like further correspondence with you. And here's the thing, the more you can do this in your marketplace when everyone else is offering home evals, who do you think they're going to come to when it actually comes time to saying, okay, well, this person's gone over and above. Like, now I have actionable stuff I could use without ever paying them for it in advance, without ever even interacting with them yet. So now you're top of mind as a trusted authority and someone who can be considered to say, okay, I'm ready to kind of dance with them. Does that make sense? And does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And any follow-up questions around this?
I'll give you guys an example like with this one. This was originally a 5-page PDF with 5 or 6 pages, we had an intro page, but like 6 templates. And when we got together, like we dropped it to only 1. And my cost per lead on this averages between $1 and $2.30, like $1 and about $2.30 a lead off of this.
But it's perfect, right? Because the real estate agents looking to run Facebook ads. Do they want 6 templates? At first you'd think maybe they would. But 6 now creates paralysis of analysis. Like, damn, well, which one should I choose now? I'm not sure. Not that all 6 weren't wicked, but you could package the other 5 up and give them as a bonus a few days later. I'm not saying don't give it to them, but the mind needs simplicity, right? So when Andrew just cut this down, and I basically, our conversation was, what is the best one? Like, what is the one that really gets the results that people can use right away and see a result with? And he said, well, by far this one. I'm like, bam, let's go with that one. And then, of course, you notice there's an intro and a conclusion written a very specific way, and we could go into that if we'd like or not. But really, the framework for a template like this is an intro, the template, a conclusion, because the last thing you want to do is if someone says, hey, I'd like some information, you just give them the information and leave it at that, because then they're like, thanks, see you later, right? You want them to know that this is one part of a bigger thing, and that if they want to engage in the bigger thing, that they need to engage with you for that. And that's why we pre-frame with an intro and a conclusion to help that. And again, if we need to go further, I'm sure Andrew can walk you through like why and how. But yeah, I would always see Facebook as a channel by which you are generating leads, not necessarily sales, leads, and those leads are going to fit into one of 3 categories. For the sake of easy remembering, let's call them swim lanes, and you have slow, medium, and fast, right? There are going to be some people who come into your buckets who are ready to sell today. And they're like, I am desperate, we just got into a divorce, I need to liquidate, we need to sell now. And those are, we all love those people because it means, okay, transaction's about to happen. Then there's medium people who need multiple touch points before making a buying transaction. Maybe they're a month out, maybe they're 3 months out, maybe they need more interaction with you before they feel comfortable in selecting you as their agent. And then you have slow people that we refer to, and this is why it's important to have a follow-up sequence, because some people might be 18 months to 3 years out before they're ready to sell or buy their next home, right? Those are great people. They're just not ready to transact now. As Dean Jackson says, there's only 2 times, now and not now. And one of those, if they're not in the now will come at some point, and you want to be that top of mind person as well. So we just want to accommodate for slow, medium, and fast movers, so that no matter who it is, we are seen as a trusted authority in our space, and that when people want to transact with us, they are ready to do that. You know what was funny, actually, on that side note? I saw. Did you see those real estate ads for the guy who was like $1 billion or $1 billion?
Yeah, Sam. Well, yeah, you're in his area, so probably Sam McDaddy.
Is that the guy? Oh yes. Do you know him?
I don't know personally.
Seen the ads?
Oh, well, he just got on my email list. the other day. I'll send them over to you.
Sounds good.
Because I'm like, I see these ads everywhere. 1 billion views or whatever it is, something like that. And I'm like, oh, that name familiar. And I saw you just opted in to get a lead magnet.
Go talk to him, not me.
Yeah.
Question.
Can you go through the next step then? So you take those people that have gone, they've downloaded your PDF. Now what are your next steps? I mean, are
Love
you
that.
creating a custom audience then at that point?
Oh, you getting fancy. Yeah.
You just taught us that.
I was like, oh, yeah. So once someone has opted into your thing, again, we want to accommodate 3 levels of movers, right? Our fast, our medium, and our slow movers. Now let's just address the fast. The people who are ready to buy or ready to transact and ready to transact now. This is where we can maybe get into Godfather offers in. I'm going to assume that for the vast majority of people in here who are agents, agents?
All agents.
Only
Well,
agents?
one mortgage broker, everyone else is agents.
And a mortgage broker?
Or marketing people for agents.
Okay. So I'm assuming that your desired action is what? Is it an in-person meet or is it a phone call? Like, what is the step before someone says, yes, I'm contracting you to buy or sell my home?
Phone call.
It's a phone call. Okay.
To get a meeting, to get it in person.
To get the in-person, but that would be the step before. The in-person usually will seal the deal for most of the people in here. Okay. So, which is actually better because it's lower resistance to get on a phone than it is to necessarily have someone come to an office. So if that is the goal, let's kind of reverse engineer this. The goal is to get someone to pick up the phone or for them to give us their phone number for us to call them. Now, keep in mind, what is the rest of the industry doing to get that? Usually, what are they saying? How are you now, or how are some of your colleagues who are not in this room today getting people to get on that phone with you?
They're not. Or they're cold calling. Yeah. I mean, this type of thing is a lot of it because it's relatively simple to do, or it's just like put
Yeah.
a little bit of information but not everything. Call me for the rest.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's how I see this, because I mean, if we were to equate it, let's say to like someone selling a professional service, a doctor, a lawyer, or something like that, very, very similar. The goal is to get that in-person meet. Now, everyone knows for the most part, I experienced this like 5 years ago on Groupon, where I was looking for a chiropractor. I saw a deal for a chiropractor, like, hey, get your first session for free. I'm like, oh, not for free, for like a discount of like half price. I'm like, oh, okay. But I knew, like everyone knows, that the moment you go see them, that's actually going to turn into a sales conversation. We all know that, right? And so there's huge resistance around, hey, let's just hop on the phone and discuss something, because everyone has that feeling that I'm going to be sold to. Nobody likes to be sold to, although everyone likes to buy, which is an interesting concept. But here's how I would situate it. I would situate this phone call now as a complete value-added experience. So I would never call it like a consult or let's discuss how we can work together or whatever. Is there lingo out there right now attached to these calls, or just, hey, call me and get you more information and we'll see how we can help you? Consult.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone knows consult, AKA sales, right? So I'm looking at then, how can we best treat this call now as a value add to the person on the other line? And so rather than calling it a consult, I would have some sort of a framework around the call that might be linked back to the giveaway that you're giving, because that makes the most congruent sense. Now, it doesn't necessarily 100% have to be, but let's say, in Andrew's case, he has an ad template to say, hey, real estate agent, let me show you the number one template that I've used to generate X number of leads within X number of dollars to get X number of clients. If then the major goal at the end of the day would be to get clients to work with him, right? Which probably is?
That one's to buy the course.
Oh, to buy the course.
Yeah.
Well, let's say it's to get clients.
Yeah.
Okay, let's change around your business model for a second. In that case, it's to buy the course, but let's say it's to get clients or whatever. Then how he could situate it is, let's have a 25-minute ad audit call or something like that, because these people are interested in an ad template. And maybe on the call he says, hey, when we hop on the call, all we're going to do is I'm going to look at how you implemented the ad template, and I'm going to give you free consulting advice to show you how to rework it and retweak it to get you the best desired result. Now it's a value add for that person. And then of course at the end of the call we're throwing in, and by the way, at the end of the call, if we feel like there's a way that I might be able to help you further, we could bring that up in conversation and discuss that. But I just want you to know that the purpose of the call is for me to help you execute the thing that I gave you. So now when that person gets on the call, you have, they know that a very specific outline or framework by which they're going to be helped. And they also know that there may be a potential conversation about you working together. So you've already kind of like seeded that. They know that that might happen if they've chosen to take the call anyways. And now the more value you could provide on that call, where Andrew's, let's say he works through and says, oh, you haven't written it yet? Let's like write an ad together then. Let's do that. And by the end of it, they have an ad. And literally the conversation at the end can go something like, hey, how'd you find that? Oh, I found it, it was great. Do you see how this could help you? Absolutely. Now, is this something that you think you could do yourself, or would you like to talk about how we might be able to help you do this? And now you've transitioned the call into a sales conversation.
Who would do that?
Right? So,
Change my ads.
yeah. So now in your case, right, again, you might be, let's say you have a staging template out there that's being put out, a resource list of the 4 things you need to put in your house just before you sell to make it sell at its highest value. Your goal is to get them on a call, and what you can say at that call is either, hey, we're going to actually provide you with the list of vendors who can get you this for the cheapest price, or let's talk about, oh, you have a 3-bedroom, okay, well, this is what you want, like a strategy, an actual strategy on how to stage. And then you transition in sales at the end of that. Oh, well, obviously you're looking to sell. Have you seen how staging it better can make you sell for a higher price? Yeah, absolutely. Is this something you're comfortable doing, like this whole sales process? Or would you like to discuss how we might be able to help you sell your house faster at a higher profit with multiple offers, whatever, right? So the idea is, what is the main goal? The main goal is a phone call. Then the question is, how do you position that call so that it's of value to the person on the other line, so that after you've provided the value, it leads to a sales conversation. Now the question then comes, let's say we're running Facebook ads, how do we get them to that call, right? Custom audiences or what? Really, my process is simple, and we'll just call it an ad to a lead magnet offer, like you saw there, to what I call a GFO page. And then for those, these are for your fast. Then you'll have medium, which we can talk about in just a second, and slow in just a second. But let's just address the fast movers, because those are the ones that are super important to us, right? So we got an ad that says, hey, I'm giving you a staging template. The lead magnet is a staging template that they can fill out their name and their email on. They fill it out, and now they go to what's traditionally known as a thank you page. Now, most people on the thank you page do what? Yeah, they say thank you, and they give them the thing that they asked for, right? Congratulations, you have just ended that whole experience for that individual, right? Because think about the momentum that started to build here. They were scrolling through their Facebook newsfeed. You actually got them to stop. Not just stop, but read. Not just read, but click. Now they're on your page, and they've read everything. They're like, wow, I want this. And they've given you personal information. So they've given you personal information in order to get this thing. They're now on the next page. The worst thing you can do is just throw a brick wall in front of them and say, here's your thing, see you later. All right, now you know that they could be, a percentage of them could be fast. So what do you do on that page? Usually, we say something along the lines of, hey, thank you for the thing you requested. It's going to arrive in your inbox in about 12 minutes. Why do we say 12 minutes? Because if we said, hey, this thing you requested is waiting for your inbox right now, where would they go?
Their inbox.
Yeah, abandoned ship. Right? So you set your CRM, your Aweber. I saw someone using Aweber, Infusionsoft. What are people using? No, whatever.
Follow-up boss is a real estate specific.
Can you delay the
Yeah.
response? Oh, perfect. So you're going to just set it up so that the thing doesn't deliver for 12 minutes. Right? And you just say, hey, thanks for the thing you requested is going to arrive in your inbox in 12 minutes. In the meantime, I've got this short 4-minute video that I want to tell you. Something very important to your selling of your home that you need to know, that you probably don't know, that the media is trying to keep from you. Don't sensationalize it like that. The 4 things Fox won't tell you about selling your home in the GTA. Right? No, nothing like that. Now the GFO offer, we call it GFO because essentially that stands for Godfather offer. Right? We want to, at this point, for the fence sitter, make them an offer they can't refuse. right? So this is not going to be for everybody, but this is going to be for the person who's probably sitting on the fence. They're like, wow, I like what they sent me. I like the whole process here. Maybe I'm willing to take that next step. And the Godfather offer is going to be, in this case, a value positioned offer for your now strategy call. And we're not going to call it a strategy call, but we'll call it to get on the phone with you, right? And I think there's 3 elements that make a great Godfather offer. One is a discount. Now, if you already do these for free, then offering a discount, unless you give them money to get on the call, right, is kind of irrelevant. Or you can now reposition yourself and say, hey, you know what, usually it's someone in my office that takes care of this call, and to do a call with me costs $300, but because we just met, I'm willing to extend that to you for free. Now, don't do that unless that is true, but if it is, and you can add a charge or a value to time with you, then you can offer a discount or freebie-ize it. Is that a word? Make it free? Yeah. Right? So a discount is one. Stacked bonuses are another way to make a Godfather offer. In other words, if you get this, usually you don't get anything, but if you get it now, you get all this stuff. Right? So maybe in Andrew's case, let's just go back to the example. Hey, thanks for downloading the template. Would love to walk through this template and add audit with you. It's about a 25-minute call, blah, 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 blah. And heck, if you do take us up on this, these calls with me usually cost whatever, $500 an hour. You get it for free, and I'll give you 4 other templates that will just help with that, right? It's a bonus now that they wouldn't have normally got. And maybe for you, it's a staging guide, it's a resource list of movers, it's whatever else you can throw in there that adds value. So a stacked bonus.
Cleaners has worked well. Cleaning the house and cleaning windows and gutters.
I wouldn't have known that. But that's actually great. Like, hey, if you schedule this call with me, we'll arrange for, a free house cleaning or gutters or whatever, which probably costs how much?
Depends on area.
Okay, so and again, you want to be strategic about this. Not everyone who you offer this to will in fact be a client of yours. But if you know your numbers and for the 10 people that you talk to, 8 or 6 or 5 or whatever become clients, then you do the math and you're like, well, I'll pay for cleaning for 10 people to get 5, right? So do the math on it. So first is a discount, secondly is stacked bonuses, and third is a risk reversal guarantee. And a risk reversal guarantee essentially states that if you are not thrilled with the experience, not only do you get to keep the experience and the bonuses, but I'm also going to give you something on top of that. So what I used to do, or one of the risk reversal guarantees that I have for like one of our events, for example, is, hey, you come out to our event, it's a 2-day experience. If you're not totally thrilled and don't feel like you got the entire value of the 2 days by the end of day 1, not only can you go back to the back of the room and get a check with the total amount that you paid to be here, but I'll also give you an additional $500 just so you can have a nice dinner on me and ensure that your experience with me was a profitable one.
Anyone ever taken you up on that?
No. And here's the reality, most people won't. Like, nobody's gonna take you up on your risk reversal guarantee unless you've totally dropped the ball and like, you're like, hey, we're gonna get on a call and I'm gonna talk about how to stage your house. And the moment you get on the call, you're like, okay, so sign this documentation before we get started. It's the only way I'm gonna show you how to stage your home properly. Now, by the way, you're tied to selling your home with me now, so haha. Then be like, well, screw you, give me the thing you promised me. But other than that, like, if you're cool about the experience, very rarely is anyone going to ever take you up on it. But on the flip side, more people will say yes to your offer because you offered it. So the percentage of people who will take you up on the risk reversal guarantee versus the people who will say yes to you because of it is worth the trade-off, right? Because most people are just like, I don't want to inherit any risk, obviously. So if you can remove the risk completely, and why we call it risk reversal is because now the risk is on you. Because you have to pay out something or you have to offer something if you don't come through with it. Now the risk is on you. It makes that person feel more comfortable about that experience. And again, at the end of the day, our goal is people on the call with you. So how do we then do that? So we have an ad to a lead magnet to a Godfather offer. Here's what I will say. So you have the 3 things, that make up a good Godfather offer. The additional bonus thing I would just say is what makes it, gives it a higher take rate is a good reason why you're offering it. So if you just have it, some people are like, interesting. But if you have a good reason why, And sometimes, actually, every time, honesty is the best kind of policy. Sometimes you could be like, you could say straight up on that page or in that video, and here's why I'm doing this. Because I have found that this is the best way for me to actually find clients that I can actually help. I'm like, well, of course that makes sense, right? So you explain why you're doing this crazy bonus as, hey, because this is kind of how I get clients. Is that reasonable? Is that fair? Most people would be like, sure, right? And you can even say, and sometimes, how to position that call. Sometimes you can even say, I'll tell you what, we're going to go through this strategy with you, and then at the end, if you'd like, we could talk about how we work together, but I tell you what, I won't bring that up unless you do first. So now they don't even feel like they're pressured. Now they feel like it's on them at the end of the call to say, actually, I really like this guy, maybe we should talk about it. Right? Again, you're just alleviating risk, which is the number one thing that most people have when they're going to be talking to somebody. So, add to lead magnet, the Godfather offer. Godfather offer will have 1, 2, or 3 of those elements: a discount, a stacked bonus, or a risk reversal guarantee. Also has a very strong reason why attached to that. And then here's where we get into some of the technical Facebook ad stuff of it. The worst thing you can do is say, this is only available for you if you take me up in the next 30 seconds. Anyone ever had that experience before where you're like online, you're about to buy something, they call it an OTO, a one-time offer, buy now or die kind of thing. That's the worst way you want to start this experience with, right? So you don't want to say buy now or die, but you also don't want to say, hey, this opportunity is available to you forever. So whenever you're ready, we'll see you later with that, right? That, on the other hand, doesn't make you top of mind. That gives them permission to put it on the back burner and probably forget about it. So how long is a good time limit to have for the Godfather offer? We typically say 72 hours, 3-day window. We've tested a whole bunch of stuff. 72 hours seems to be a great number so that A, you still stay top of mind. It's not too far out that they forget. But B, it's not too in your face where they can talk to a loved one, they can do their due diligence on you, they can, schedule the time, they can do whatever they need to do and not feel pressured by it. So we'll get into a little complexity here and then I'll end this and we can talk about something else, or I can go home and you can finish your stuff, whatever. So how do you set that up from a Facebook ads perspective? Because we have ads that are pointing to this, which is great, right? So we want to have our ads point to the landing page that offers a lead magnet. And if you're really ninja, for everyone who doesn't take you up on that lead magnet, you'll have a retargeting ad that points them to a different lead magnet, right? So inclusion and exclusion audiences there to say, hey, maybe they didn't want the staging thing, maybe they wanted the ads thing, or maybe they wanted the lawn mowing thing or whatever. And then they go to this page. And now again, once they hit that page, they technically have 72 hours to make a decision. Now you'll want to add a timer on there. We use a tool called Deadline Funnel. That tool, if you want to give me an affiliate commission, it's nixblog.com/deadline. I'll get $4 from everybody who signs up. Thank you. But Deadline Funnel is this great tool where it's like an evergreen automated deadline, so that if I land on that page today, my timer starts now, and then if you land on it tomorrow, your timer starts tomorrow. And it is hackable if you're like super good at getting around this stuff, but because it's IP-based and cookie-based, it's not like someone can refresh their browser or come on their mobile phone and it's a different time. So it allows you to maintain your integrity.
I've actually had to, because I started using this, because I use the Lead Pages built-in one. That's literally, you just open up Safari instead of Chrome.
And it resets it. Yeah.
That one, I had to turn on my VPN, change my location to the US, and then go back to be able to get in after the timer expired.
And frankly, if someone's willing to do all that, you deserve another 72 hours, right? Like, all right, buddy, take another 72 hours at it. That's fine. I'm okay with that. If you're willing to figure that out. So 72 hours. So what do we need to do then? Here's the clincher. So we got an ad that goes to the lead magnet. Remember, you've captured the name and the email address here, and they've now been given this page. What we like to do in that 72 hours, and we'll end this portion with this, is 3 emails and 2 ads. So 3 emails, 1 on every day, 1 the day they enter your system, 1 a day later, and 1 a day later, like 24 hours apart. And essentially, and again, can't go into the nitty gritty of this, but essentially you're going to be doing a little bit of storytelling, you're going to build rapport, credibility, and authority, and you're going to give them the thing that they asked for and remind them that the call is available, right? So when I say storytelling, let's go back to the staging thing. Rather than saying, get your staging download thing. Staging is important if you want to sell your house. Like, you don't want that. You'd more be like, hey, remember one of the first house I sold that was a bloody mess. It took 900 days to sell because they didn't consider cleaning up their house and blah, blah, blah. It was terrible. So finally I convinced them that having the 4 elements in my template were a good idea. They decided to do it, and 22 days later it sold, or 14 days or 7 days later. So like, you just want to tell the story so the person who's reading it can feel themselves as part of it. All right, so your storytelling, open and close loops. What I mean by that is, like, we like to, one of my day one emails says, and tomorrow I'm going to tell you about how I made a room full of grown men cry. Read the email tomorrow. They're like, oh, okay, let's tune in tomorrow and see what that's all about. So open loop to close loop. And then again, you're just reminding them, hey, I still have this thing available to you, right? Now from an ad perspective, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're 2 ads, and I say maybe 3 if you can, but ad number 1 basically is a reminder that goes out, and this is people who are, we can talk custom audiences and everyone will be on the same page?
We talked about them this morning.
Awesome. So if we set up a 3-day custom audience, right, a 72-hour custom audience bucket there, that tells Facebook anybody who's been on this page in the last 3 days, they see this ad, right? That ad essentially says, hey, just a reminder that your strategy call session thing can be booked here, and it's only available for the next little while. Right, that's all you're really saying. Your second ad will come up on the last day, or day 3. And again, you're using inclusions and exclusions here, so you have a 3-day audience and a 2-day audience. You're essentially saying, Facebook, show this ad to people who are in my 3-day audience, but exclude that which is in my 2-day audience, which means they're on day 3. Okay, don't try to figure it out, just trust me on it. Now on the 3rd day, they are now seeing an ad that essentially says, hey, today's your last day to take advantage of this strategy call. Okay? And then a 3rd ad, if you can, is if you have a client testimonial on video, if someone's like, hey, I just worked with this person, so great, I sold my house in 72 hours, over asking, multiple bid, multiple offer scenario. And you just have some guy like, man, my house was in shambles, and then I staged it with this template, literally sold 14 hours later, multiple offers, whatever. I would run that ad for all 3 days as well, because now they're just seeing social proof of like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw that. I saw that there was a call to be had with them, but now I saw someone who actually worked with them and has some good things to say about them. I'm in. Does that all make sense? So the good thing about this then now is you are tailoring to your fast movers. There will be fast movers who are ready to take action now. Some will be sitting on the fence, but with the Godfather offer, with the 3-day window and how you structure your call, rather than just saying, let's get on a consult, will now get those people off the fence and say, yes, let's chat, because this sounds like something I could get great value from. Now what you do hour 73 and beyond is another conversation. And what I would say is put heavy emphasis on hour 73 and beyond, because of all the pool of people who are going to work with you, the smallest pool is the fast laners, right? So we designed this to get the fast laners in quickly, but your bigger pools are your medium and your slow laners. And so you just need to have a process in place that caters to them over time, because not everyone's ready to buy or sell today. Any follow-up questions on that? Yeah.
Not to go into full detail, but what would be like the one tip that you would give to people? What do you see done wrong the most for people targeting the slow lane? Because like for us, online leads are an 18 to 24 month gestation period
Yes.
for most people.
Yes.
And most agents, like Chuck said, are like 7 days when a person's dead to me.
Yeah.
And then if you tell everybody to email all their leads from 2 years ago, they'll find like 100 people who've all bought houses without them.
Right.
So
Exactly. Which proves the point that most of your people are hearing here. I think the easiest way to tailor to medium would be your traditional funnels, and Andrew might talk about that. And there's like things you could do, like to give you multiple 7 to 12 touch points. If you did that, I would just say create. Here's the best way to do. I'll give you medium and slow. Do we have time to go medium and slow?
As long as you want.
All right. So medium would be this. I would literally go into your industry and your marketplace and find out the 10 top questions that the vast majority of your buyers or sellers are asking. What are the other? Like those are different categories, I realize that. Find out what the top 10 questions that the buyers or sellers are asking. Don't assume this, like know what the actual chatter is amongst buyers and sellers. Right? Heavily trying to find like what are the problems that they're looking to solve, but just what are the 10 questions they're asking. Then you want to make a list of the top 10 questions that they're not asking, but they should be asking. Because that's going to build authority in you now. The first one proves credibility, because you're going to answer those questions. The second one builds authority. Because if you say, hey, if you're selling your house, you probably didn't know blank, and you go into blank, they're like, I didn't know blank, now I do. That guy's an authority. Right? So 20 questions now. 10 questions that and it could be 5 or 10. Like, there's not a
don't get caught up on the
on the number. Make it, hey, underachievers, make it 3. Okay, like, like just get something answered. Bloody hell, right? Let's just put something out there. Oh, the mic is going down. Chuck, that could have caught.
I know.
Back of the room.
I need a charger.
Folks, if you're watching, that was Mr. Chuck who did that for the 3rd time today.
That's right.
So now that you have a series of questions on what your industry is asking, and you have a series of questions on what they should be asking, I would say pull out your cell phone and record 1-minute video answers. Now, if you're not comfortable on that, which I would assume everyone in this room is, because you have to meet with people all the time. Like, I can hide behind my computer and never meet with an individual, and that's fine for this work that I do. You maybe not. Ideally, if you could pop up your cell phone camera and shoot 1-minute answers to those questions, ideal. If you can't, then write it down, but I find talking is easier than writing, so I talk the answer rather than write the answer. But either way, get the answers. And now, all you're doing through delivering through email and even Facebook ads for that matter, is answers to those questions for the next, let's say you have 20 to 30 days. One every day, every other day, once a week if you want, whatever, 3 times a week. I would say in the medium section to make it like 3 to 5 times a week, because they need the multiple touch points earlier. And now, if they see that you are answering questions, that they have answers to questions they are asking and answers to questions they should be asking, immediately credibility, authority is built into their mind, and they are now more prone to come back to you versus the other guy down the street, because they feel like you know what you're talking about. And you're actually helping them, because these are questions that they are asking. So that's what I would do. And again, at the end of each video, not necessarily in the video, but like in the sub-copy around the video, we're going to use a Dean Jackson line. Whenever you're ready, this is the best way I can help you. And then you're just going to offer the consultation call again. Or before you do that, maybe in the medium time, I'd actually rather say that, hey, if you like that information, I'd love to deep dive on an actual call with you. We have a blank strategy call where we can go over that in more detail, that sort of thing. And again, I like the languaging, hey, if you like that, then you're probably going to like this. Or if you've enjoyed that, you're probably going to enjoy. Or if you benefited from that, then you're probably going to benefit from this call that I have for you. So you do that for 10 to 20 answers. If they haven't booked the call at that point. Now again, let me just go back to that real quick. Chuck, how many did you say you had on your big list?
14,000.
So 14,000. Do you know what your general open rate is on the 14?
It's an old list, right?
Okay.
So I might be 20%.
Okay.
I mean, some of those are 12 years old.
Got it.
Thing, right?
Got it. So even 12% is pretty good in our space. But here's what I hear. Like let's say you said 12 or 20%. 20%. When I hear 20%, I hear 80% are not opening, right? So here's another kind of just side hack, is that when you have those lists uploaded to Facebook as custom audiences, here's our general rule of thumb, is that anytime a key correspondence goes out, let's call it weekly, a key pillar piece of content or core correspondence goes out to your list, you mimic the experience on Facebook. So you upload the list as a custom audience, and now you write an ad which has the exact same information in your email, and you're targeting that exact same list, and now you'll get more people who need to see it, right? Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
So you're not just relying on email to deliver your content, it's Facebook ads and email.
Just save some time for going through it later.
Perfect. So I'll stop there. And then slow. So my best approach for slow. So let's say you've run this for, let's call it a month, 30 days, like 21 to 30 days. You've run your medium, hitting answers, inviting them to the call. Then you're moving into slow lane. Now slow lane literally is now like month 2 to 3 years or whatever, 24 months to 2 years, right? All I would say here is you should have some sort of pillar content that goes out at least on a weekly basis, right? Andrew has a show. I have a show in my world. It could be an email. It could be, don't call it a newsletter. Like nobody really wants and likes newsletters, right? Dean Jackson uses a great term. He calls them field reports. Love that. Nobody wants a newsletter, but they want to know what's happening in the field, right? Could be. And now all you're really tasked to do, and this could be you or someone on the team, is come up with a great piece of pillar content that goes out once a week. That could be an interview with a past client, could be a case study experience, it could be what's happening in your industry, it's things to know about blank, 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 blank. Goes out once a week, and at the end of that correspondence, you're going to use Dean Jackson's super signature. Hey, whenever you are ready, these are the 3 best ways I can help you. Now, if you don't have 3 ways, like let's say you don't have a download and you don't have a book or you don't have something else, you can just say, hey, whenever you're ready, this is the best way I can help you. Book this strategy call. And what you'll tend to find now is as your list grows and over time, every time you send out an email, you get people booking calls. Because their not now has turned into now, and now they're ready, and that piece of content spoke to them, like, let's go. And that's a beautiful thing, where once a week you send out pillar content that's valuable to your list, and then at the end of that, you get people responding and saying, I'm ready to book a call. Right, so that's how I would approach your lead gen, both like horizontally and vertically, to generate fast leads, give them offers, and then work them down as they move into slow, medium and slow. Now you're not wasting the lead, because the lead isn't dead after 7 days, right? Most of your buyers, your transactions are going to happen. What's the statistic actually in the 18 to 24 months? But some will happen sooner, so we tailor to them all. Make sense? Helpful? Questions? Yes, sir.
Take it a different way, like who's looking at different streams of clients, right? So that's one, that's the buyer clients, but the majority of my business is more other realtors. Like I'm in an area where realtors are referring their clients to me.
Got it.
So the end goal is a little bit different. Like, and how would you sort of approach that differently, if at all?
So how does that? Yeah. So how does that work in your space?
It's 25%, or they get 25% of the commission of the client they refer
Yeah,
to.
they get a referral fee back to them.
But it's another agent referring.
Yeah.
Right.
And why are they referring?
An
Because they're
agent
outside of their
Like
area
in
or
the
whatever?
GTA and I'm in Hamilton, they got a client moving in that direction, or Ottawa coming this way, or
And would your goal be to get more of these
yeah.
agents
So you
to
wanna
refer
get
more
your-
business?
Yeah, getting them to refer more business, or you're establishing yourself as the go-to person in that particular town. Or location.
Right. So I mean, the approach to me would almost be the same. We'll reverse it back to what's the primary goal. What is the step before someone says, yes, you are my referral person for Hamilton? Like what, do you get on a phone call? Do you go out to lunch? Do you have?
At this point, like, the majority of it's generated through like networking and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Meeting in person kind of thing. So that's why it's a little bit different, because you're not necessarily looking for that call.
Sure.
You're sort of looking to generally establish yourself as an authority, and that's kind of where it's coming from.
So if you had the authority in place and people started to recognize, could you assume that they would natively and naturally reach out to you anyways?
They do. Like, so I've got like a regular sort of show on.
Perfect.
And I'm out networking a lot, so people know that like Hamilton, my name will pop up a lot and people are asking for somebody there.
Right.
And so I'll just be sitting around and I'll get people just messaging me saying, hey, I've got a guy for...
Perfect. So in that case, I mean, you don't necessarily need to do any lead gen. I would follow this play here. I would blanket your industry with the top 10 questions, but they're not about buyers and sellers now. They're about real estate agents who are looking for help in jurisdictions that aren't their own, for example, and just blanket your industry with content that makes you credible and makes you the authority. And then your call to action could be as simple as, Something really casual like, hey, let's grab some lunch or something like that. Whatever that face-to-face transaction will be. I know a lot of people in the business space who do something similar where they'll just like offer their time. Hey, let's hop on let's grab a beer or whatever as a call to action, because they know that through that correspondence. And if you've done a good enough job at blanketing your industry with some great content that positions you as the authority in that space, I mean, at some point you probably have to change that call to action, because you'd just be bombarded. Because they'll see the value, they'll be like, oh, mini celebrity, which is really our goal, to be the trusted authority mini celebrity in our industry. And this person's willing to say, let's go to lunch with me, like you'll get yeses and yeses and yeses all day long, right? So
I think something that, like, I'm just thinking about the mechanics of what happens when I refer somebody out of town, whether it's Sudbury or whatever it is. I think that if I had something from you saying, here's the areas to buy in Hamilton, because what do people start with, right? If they want to buy there, they want to know,
right,
what does my money get me? And they want to know which neighborhoods I should avoid.
Yeah.
And I think if you had one of those, like I'm looking at Andrew's thing where it's 2 or 3 pages where you could kind of say, here's a map, here's where this neighborhood's good for these people, and it had your name on the bottom, and I was an agent that wanted to target. I think if you gave that to me, and the next time I hear Hamilton, I'm gonna go, well, my dude just gave me a report, why don't I give that to you? And then so I become almost your Facebook ad, right? Where I can kind of be the bounce off point to get that report.
Yeah, so it really does start from like understanding what are the questions being asked, and what are they not asking that they should ask, and then putting that content together and blanketing your marketplace.
And you've got like a series of community videos and that kind of thing too. So it's like, but basically that's it though. The strategy's kind of the same, just you're changing the content. Really. The content
and obviously the targeting and adapting accordingly, but yes.
And to add to that, I'd also suggest putting, because you've had so many referrals from other agents, get them to do a short video and put that in one of your things, because a lot of times on our Facebook pages, we'll go, well, who knows someone in Collingwood or whatever. Well, that's just a person they met at a party. That doesn't mean that they're actually a good agent, right? So I want to know you're a good agent if I'm going to refer something, because it's my name on there. And so to have another agent put a little, and that would be really quick. I was really happy with you working in Hamilton. I'd be really happy to send you a short video.
Good piece of content for you too, just as like one of the follow-ups, because like building a list of agents would be something like, hey, when you send a referral, here's how it works. Like, I will give you an update every week. I'm gonna like say how you're going to like treat their client, but write it out. Because like I've sent, like when I stopped selling, every lead I had, I referred out, but I sent them to different agents. Only 2 of the 10 agents I sent business out to ever followed up with me about how it went.
Right.
Most of them, it just went silent at that point completely. So like if someone said like, hey, like I will email you every week with updates about how it's going, type of thing.
Top 3 reasons to refer to me when your clients are looking at Amazon.
Any more questions for Nick?
Generally speaking, I don't know, you deal probably in a lot of different markets and smaller, medium, larger businesses, but in general, 2-part question. What is the most common thing you see Facebook advertisers doing that they shouldn't be doing? And what's the most common thing that they're not doing that you tell them to start doing?
Yeah, the short answer is because they're called Facebook ads, and if I say advertising, just the word, most people have the connotation, the connection of like sales, right? If we see an ad, a commercial, it's selling a product. If we see a billboard, it's selling a bag. If we see whatever, I think the most detrimental thing you can do on Facebook is sell from the ad. Because let's face it, anyone wake up in the morning, credit card in hand, logs on to Facebook saying, I wonder what I could buy today. That's not the platform. It's not a commercial-driven platform, right? Now, how many people log on to Amazon with credit card and not credit? It's already on there, but you know what I mean. Like if you log on to Amazon, you have commercial intent. Your desire is to transact, and so someone selling you something on Amazon makes complete sense because that's why you're there. Facebook, on the other hand, nobody's there to buy anything. They do buy, but it doesn't mean they're there to buy. So you're totally incongruent with the social element of the platform if you try to sell. So that's why my book is called Give, and Andrew has bought a copy for everybody in this room. So thank him later. It's in the box. We'll get it for you.
Get an autograph while you're here.
Oh, we can if you'd like. Absolutely. Pictures, autographs, whatever. You pick the color. We got 14 colors here. So.
It's a multi-pack.
It is a multi-pack. So that's definitely it. We want to see Facebook as a platform by which you can get your message and provide value to your ideal target. So see it as a giving platform, not as a taking platform. That would be the thing. And that would kind of be the answer to the flip side of the question, is the people who do well on Facebook are the people who use Facebook as a means to establish authority and credibility with great content in front of their ideal prospect, because that builds mini celebrity, that builds brand, and that allows you to, again, all I'm saying is use Facebook as a means to extend your hand to your ideal prospect and say, hi, my name is Nick, nice to meet you, in the form of free content and or a lead magnet that you're offering in exchange for greater content. But it should never be until that person knows you, that is. Now, once they know you and they follow you, then you can sell because they know you. It's not a cold transaction. But to a cold prospect, the more value you can give, just see Facebook as that tool to get that information in front of your ideal prospect, not as a transactionary platform, if that makes sense.
Like, that's why I do Over a Pint. Like, most of my advertising budget is for Over a Pint to get people to see it. And I don't ever sell it. I don't even talk on the show about what I do unless it comes up in the conversation. But for me, my ideal audience is agents, obviously. And like, some people want to hear Chuck talk about his business for an hour. So people watch that. I retarget them with ads to hire me.
Which is actually a beautiful play. Like, if you have pillar content in the form of video, what Facebook allows you to do is create a retargeting audience around everyone who's watched your video. And that's obviously going to be a high, warm, hot prospect bucket of people. And then if Andrew spun around and showed an ad for his ad template to the people who watched an episode of Over a Pint, like, that's a great audience
Like,
to be able to do
my
that.
cold audience lead magnet cost is about $2, $2.10. My warm audience, sending people like who watched it, I'm at about 70 to 80 cents. Like, it's a lot cheaper.
And not only is it cheaper, those people are like already bought in.
Yeah.
They've given you at least 10, 15, 20 minutes of their time. So they're already actually bought into the experience as well. So they'll
Or
probably
like 2
convert
hours
higher.
in my shows
Or
a
2
day
hours
sometimes.
if they watch the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah. Good times. Any other questions? Yeah. Give everyone a copy of the book too over here.
Oh yeah, let's do that. I brought enough for everyone -1, so we're just gonna let someone have a hard time.
We're missing one though today.
No, I'm just joking. Everyone's got a copy.
Ivy doesn't get one, but I'm pretty sure.
I'll steal yours.
I was like, let's just see what happens if we bring one short. Andrew didn't want to pay for all of them.
One of you is unlucky.
You just don't know which one he didn't want to give a copy
Rugby
to.
scrum.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Just don't read it while you're in class for the next.
Yeah, wait till you
It's like the Joker with the pool cue tryouts for the last one.
Oh man.
Remember that?
What
We're getting to the fun.
What a great movie that one. We do have enough, right?
What are you noticing for images? Because that's obviously a
Almost like
big
a
part of the ad. Like,
Yeah.
what's working there?
In terms of,
Just like I mean, you work across a lot of industries. Like,
Yeah.
what's the best practices for putting images up on ads?
yeah, I think there's two takes on it. Like, if I were to ask, why do we make a transactional decision based on logic or emotion? We know the answer is emotion, yet most of the images we select for our Facebook ads are 100% logic based. It's like a sold sign on a house or whatever. Right? We're like, oh man, I saw that stock art before, thanks. So I think one of the things that work best for us is either like heavy pattern interrupt type images that can be connected back to the ad. So one of my ads for my ad template is a pop art with Mr. Clean who spilled ketchup on his shirt, right? So it's just like that. And my opening line is, I've got 99 problems, but writing Facebook ads ain't one of them, right? So it just kind of like connects it to the art, to the image. So either pattern interrupt type stuff or stuff that emotionally connects to the desired outcome of the person who's looking at that, right? So the moment you can, how I like to select images, essentially go into it with the mindset of, if Facebook didn't allow me to use words, what image would I select for the ad to say what I needed it to say? And what feelings would it provoke that I want that person to feel?
I was gonna pull up. I'll just show
Hey,
them
who's
the
that?
ad.
So that's the finish line, right? So somebody like
Or
Cheering
the
in front of
fear,
their new home.
or the fear of not selling. That could be the emotion that you want to provoke.
Okay.
It could be a really dungy,
I was running
ugly.
from not running it right now.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
you
yeah,
running in the U.S.
I have
maybe?
to live with their parents for 6 months.
Something like that, right? Living with their parents or whatever. No, once Facebook announced that they now show the ads on the fan pages, I knew people would try to
Steal them?
ad hack me, so I just shut off all my ads for a little bit. Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
checked
not
it
running
out.
anything. I'm not running anything.
You guys know that you can go check out any pages and see what ads they're running?
Yeah, if you like anybody, if you like an ad that you think is really cool or whatever, you can click on their page, go to their page, and at the bottom where it says info and ads, Facebook now for privacy and transparency purposes will show you every ad that's currently being run
Yeah. Thanks,
on
Russia.
their page. But yeah, does that help with images? Like ideally you want that person to stop and be like, whoa, first, and then like, oh, I get that, and then, because the only purpose of the image, frankly, is to catch the attention. But you want to do that in a positive way. Like I could probably put a woman in a bikini and catch attention, but that's the wrong kind of attention.
Yeah, it has to link somehow.
It has to be linked, yeah.
Randomly,
But-
this site has a lot of attention getting images.
That's cool. That's fun.
Gratisography.
What is this? Who's this?
Gratisography.
That's fun.
I actually got it from the council.
I should find out what that.
But yeah, like there's a lot of like random ones here, like randomly the rabbit on the head. Like there's a lot of really weird
Oh
ones.
yeah,
that you
like
gotta go through.
lady in a robot.
That one will
machine.
get attention on Facebook, but it might get you kicked
Might
off.
get you banned. House in a fire hydrant. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So a lot of different ones. Like this is just a good site for kind of
It's
like
cool.
those random ones. Just you're gonna sort through a bunch of really bad.
And then make sure you stay on brand. Like if you're not a really kind of out there person and you're putting like a naked picture of someone on there, and then they meet you and you're totally the opposite of that, like.
That's like I was telling you guys before, like the client that I use poop emojis in the ad with, there's a lot of clients I could never do that for.
Right.
Poop emojis are very agent specific.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions for Nick?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're seeing happening, either in the industry in general or specifically with Facebook, that you think is going to be or cause a huge switch or change in Facebook in general in the next 6 months to a year?
No, I mean, and even the changes that have happened are not like people tend to like CNN everything that happens, right? Like, oh my God, like certain targeting is taken away, or oh my God, Facebook made another change to their algorithm or whatever. Where I think we shine is from the perspective we realize like what is just at its core true good marketing, right? And if you can stay true to that, then some of the other things don't matter as much. You can get an algorithm change, you can get like a feature removal change or anything like that. I mean, I could say stuff like, obviously Facebook's putting heavy emphasis on video, right? And whereas a few months ago, video was like this, now video's like this. And now we're getting much better response rates from vertical video than horizontal video because nobody likes turning over their phones anymore. They want to create a very native experience when people are on their phones. But is that a game changer? Like, will that all of a sudden reduce your leads by 25% if all your videos are still horizontal? Not really, right? So I'm not too worried about anything kind of coming down the pipeline that anyone needs to worry about. Chatbots were all a rage, lead ads were all a rage, videos all a rage. They'll come and go, and the true marketers will just adapt accordingly from a strategic to tactical level and not worry too much about it.
Other platforms, like new platforms that you're seeing that are interesting? Like people starting to really go more like the vertical video, right? Like through Instagram and
Yeah.
now IGTV.
Right.
It's all vertical video and stuff. Is that like presenting opportunities there?
Well, I think the general mindset should be that we're moving from like a mobile first world, mobile first, desktop second, to slowly like a mobile only world. I know people who don't even own desktop computers anymore. It's like laptops and cell phones. So I think it's just being aware of that, like everything that you do, your pages, your ads, everything, as long as they're like geared towards mobile, that's going to be a lot better. Outside of like the Facebook platform, it's hard to say because I don't look at or spend any time with. Like videos are huge, but I say videos are huge only to those who do videos well, right? There's some people who do videos terribly, and video's not huge for them, right? It's hurting their business. And get off the damn camera. and go back to images. So we want to be wary of that, right? So just because video is huge doesn't mean everybody should be on video. If you hate being on video, then stay bloody off video. It's okay. You can still make it work. Yeah. 1, 2, and 3.
When you go, for example, from the medium stage to the slow stage, what kind of, you're kind of like, in a sense, retargeting these people, and you're doing it through Facebook ads, and you're also doing it, I'm guessing, through emails as well, right? Like, how much of an importance do you put on each one? Like, do you kind of do like a 50-50, or do you retarget people more than you email them, or how?
I do it almost identical. Okay. So like, if an email is going out, then I'm going to set up a retargeting ad that goes out for 7 days, let's say, on a very low budget, but again, it's just to get the impressions in front of them. And then 7 days later, when the next email goes out, another one goes out, and it's just running in tandem at all time. Yeah, because the goal is exposure. We just want people to read the content that we've created. Because like, the worst thing in the world is you create a great piece of content, and the people who actually ask for it don't even get to see it, because spam or whatever's happening in the email world. So we just want people to see it, right? I think one of the keys, if it's an 18 to 24 month window, your goal should be just stay top of mind. Like, don't be forgotten. And it's easy to be forgotten, right? So a once a week email with a corresponding once a week Facebook ad that corresponds with that is enough to stay on top. Now, if you want to move into like, what's being termed like edutainment, there's something to say about that. Like, it's one thing to just deliver information. It's another thing to deliver it in an entertaining format, like over a pint, right? He could just sit in front of a whiteboard and talk to people and like draw stuff out. But there's an element of like slight entertainment when it's over beers in different settings, that sort of thing. So if it's in you to do, like edutainment will go a little further in today's social world than just content itself. Yeah.
I was thinking about trying to send out an email about some recent, or not email, a Facebook ad, I guess, to a farm area that I'm doing that has some interesting, or has the latest statistics. How do I do something like that? It's mainly for branding credibility reasons.
When you say how, what's the question? How do you target that spot?
How do you make statistics seem interesting? Like, how do you put it in a post that people will actually use it and then turn it into something that could be?
Well, I mean, the first question is like, is it interesting? Like, does anyone care about the statistics?
Well, I would think if people wanting to, so people who are wanting to sell want to know what's happening in our market, because they only see the Toronto market. Sure. Right, but they can see that from a more targeted area, what's happening with the prices, and I want them to call me if they're going to sell.
So I think that one of the ways, and again, you would have to know if your industry would actually find the statistics meaningful and interesting. But if the answer is yes, then the best way I like to set up ads for those types of statistics are to create curiosity around them, right? So like the 4 things you didn't know about this zip code in Hamilton. Right, now the 4 things are the statistics, which could kind of be boring, but the ad is curious enough to say, wait, whoa, so what are those 4 things I didn't know about that zip code, and why would I want to know about that? Curiosity will pique the initial interest, and then if the content is interesting in and of itself, then great.
And graphically,
with stats, make sure you answer what's in it for them. Like, just saying the market's up 10%, whatever. But if you can be like, and in our area the average price is this, that means your house is now worth $40,000 more than last year. That's what's in it for them. So that's like how we found to make stats interesting for people, is answering that, like, here's not just like, or like when we talk about absorption rate, like most people have no idea what that even means. Like half the agents I talk to don't even know what absorption rate is. And if you're like, this means
so when you take a supplement, it's how much of it goes into your bloodstream.
But from a visual, like I think putting a bar graph up there is not going to be.
Woohoo!
I don't think that's going to be really something someone's going to want to look at. So, like what, an arrow going up or
1 minute video.
Pardon?
I do like a 1 or 2 minute video.
The elevator pitch. It's like, how short can you make the world's most boring conversation?
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares. They're asking about stats because they want to know, am I going to get more money or less money than the person down the street?
Right. Yeah. So which stats affect their bottom line, and quickly tell them how it does, and then walk away with your call to action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chuck, you do that well, actually.
Yeah, I think about who, like, that's that avatar thing, right? Where you just go, okay, I'm talking to Bob and Sally that live in this neighborhood, and, you know, Bob wears khaki pants and likes eating at Red Lobster. Like, all those things that, like, that's who I'm talking with. It's not, hey, all you guys. It's,
That's a good point.
this is for you, right? Yeah. Because in a neighborhood, typically there's a bit of homogenous, like, it's usually kind of the same people that live there for particular reasons.
Yeah, it's like, if you're saying like, what's in it for them specifically, right? You're trying to talk.
And that's a just great, like, over underlying point. It's like nobody cares about anything except themselves. Like, at the end of the day, we like to, like, even when we, I don't know, when I give to charity and participate in philanthropic things and, like, give my time to something like this, or, like, whatever, like, on the one side of me is like, oh, you're such a good guy. Look, you just helped feed the kid over there or build a well. The other side of me is like, I do that because it makes me feel good. Like, it is selfish. As much as it is selfless. So my world kind of revolves around, like, how can me being, this sounds terrible, but how can me being selfish benefit the most amount of people around? Because then I think everybody wins. Like, when you're operating in your, like, best place, and it makes you happy and you're thrilled and you love doing it, and you know, it's just something that you, but that thing can help other people, it's great. So why do we get on that? I think the reverse is, again, like, everyone who's reading your ads, everyone who's ever going to call you is not necessarily picking you because they think, oh, you're a great person and I really like that person because they gave me so much. They're like, they're going to sell my house for the most bloody amount as possible, and I'm going to walk away with a fast sale. Like, that, it's what's in it for them. So just keep in mind that all your communications should be, you know, Tom who wears khakis and eats a Red Lobster. Like, what are you communicating to them that makes them know that this is for them and it's not for you? Like, all correspondence, all emails, all pillar content, all videos, all anything should have that in the back of your mind.
More questions?
For the underachievers in the slow lane, like
Yeah.
I was saying,
Yeah.
we're all so big. Everybody in this room does like 1,000,000,001 things
Yeah.
at once.
Yeah.
And it's divided out.
Yeah.
From a marketing perspective, if let's say we couldn't find that pillar piece of content every single week,
Yeah.
what's kind of the drop-off point from a marketing perspective where you're just like not getting a good net benefit from sending stuff out? Like, if we sent it out once a month or every 2 weeks, like, where's that cutoff point where it's just like you just need to.
Well, I mean, if you, it's so hard to say because, like, especially into, like, today's, like, social ADD type world, like, it's almost like daily. That's why you see some of these crazy people putting out daily shows just to stay top of mind. I think you can combat that if you just have, like, super wicked content. So if your content is, like, stellar and it totally, then you may be able to get away with once a month. And you would call it, like, the monthly blank. So they would expect that it was a monthly thing and that you're not just being lazy or whatever. But I'd call it the monthly thing and then just make sure that that content was so killer that it could, like, maintain that person for the next month who's looking forward to the next
And remember, like, one piece of pillar content, you can turn into 30, 40, 50 other pieces of content.
Smaller
like, over a
content.
pint, I can take any one episode and turn that into 30 other pieces of content, no problem. Like, it's...
But that's why I think you see this new revolution of shows. Like, I started a show this year. Andrew was it this year that you started Over Pine, or
21 episodes in, so how many weeks are we into the year?
so like
Probably
quarter two or whatever.
Yeah.
Part of it is that selfish reason where, like, A, you're forced, you're now held accountable to put something out on a regular basis, but two, that one effort can now be compounded and spun into many other things, right? So if you kind of hold yourself to that in some way, shape, or form, and let's say once a month, and once a month you say, and even if it's like, there's great things you could do where it's just like once a month you're going to have a client come in, a past client come in, and you interview them for 20 minutes. Like, you could spin that into something as well. So just something that's easy for you to do. Some of the easiest content for you to probably create is stuff that you're already doing. Now, there may be some legal ramifications around this that you might need to look for, but like now, like, I record all my client meetings and I tell them portions of this may be used publicly. Are you okay with that? And they say, yeah. And so now I'm already having the client meeting. I know whatever's about to come out of my mouth. We're recording this. I want to come and get some of this, right?
Send me a link.
Yeah. I know like something that I say is going to benefit somebody sometime, and if I can just capture that, now I have content to send out. So see if you could layer in your content creation on stuff that you do any day, all the time. Like if you're coming up with like top houses to send to someone who's looking in a particular area, turn your screen can recording on and just be like, hey, I picked this house because this is in this area, blah, blah, blah. And you do that, and then you send that out to your list regularly, and they're just like, oh, whoa, okay, cool.
Basically describe what Chuck does.
Okay then.
Daily basis, yeah.
I think, sorry.
I would say pretty,
1 and 2.
Yeah, pretty general one, I guess. How much is too much, or is that even a thing?
In today's day, I don't think, like in like a binge culture right now, where like when people are turned on to something, they're turned on to it. That's why you see like daily vloggers who will put out something every day, and then once they watch, once that person has watched that episode, they're like, why didn't you put out another one today, right? Or if they missed a week, they'll binge watch the entire week. So I think like, maybe multiple times a day might be pushing it.
Is it industry specific? Like,
I'm sure it could
I think
be.
the biggest criticism that we'll get, like if I'm on a lot, right? They'll be on a few times a week doing whatever, and then they'll just pop on for fun, like I'm playing a video game or something. Just
Yeah.
And if I get a criticism, it's like, don't you work? like you're a real estate agent, right? Like,
sure.
Why are you not busy enough? Like doing that you're doing all this kind of thing.
Well, and
perception.
Yeah, a couple of that. Like I would see, like let's say the one complaint comes in. Like I would see, is that representation of your marketplace, or is that one person who's
Well, that's why I'm wondering. Like, just what's the
I would look at it too, like, who does your audience care about what you're putting out? Like, if I went onto like the Wheelhouse group and started playing video games and like, hey, watch me play Call of Duty, there's not like anyone in that group probably who's going to care about that, and there's some who will probably leave.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, do they care about?
I wonder
like,
if I play a video game and put it in front of my fans.
They do.
They might.
There's people jumping on. They're just and it's
Yeah.
not like I'm doing this all the time. It's like a one-off thing, and they're like,
Yeah.
they thought it was hilarious. Right.
Yeah.
I was playing like Plants vs Zombies from like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
here's my take. Like if it's on brand,
Yeah.
because here's the last thing I'll say about that. Most business transactions I found happen because of uncommon commonalities. So here's what I mean by that. If we're all here talking about real estate, I'm not an agent or whatever, but let's say I start talking about, I have 2 kids under 2 right now. Right? Anyone been through that at some point?
Right now.
Okay, so all of a sudden I now have this weird connection, an uncommon commonality of the 3 people who raise their hand who know what it's like to bring up 2 kids under 2. 3, right? Us. We have this weird bond now, right? Why in some of my like show episodes I'm like showing people that I do MMA now, and I'm like showing my like BJJ training session. I get more people reaching out to me like, man, I didn't know you trained BJJ. And we talk about that, and that leads to business. So I would say that if it's connected to your brand, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. BJ what?
BJ Square.
You got trained for that?
Went to a weird place.
Because I was having that conversation and I saw you turn like, what? I'm like, oh, Brazilian
She got my eggplant
Jiu-Jitsu.
joke earlier.
But if it's on brand, because that's just who you are, I think that'll create like a ton of connections, like with the uncommon commonality.
That's my thing. Right? So I'm the geeky agent. It's all pop culture stuff.
Right.
So I throw in the odd like show that's just about pop culture.
Love that. I do that all day long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
Like,
fun.
To whatever extent you can.
I
Like,
forget which guy it was, but you had a guy talking about it at one of the masterminds we do, who's like the sidecar interest.
yeah.
Where it's like,
Clay.
you have your main business and then a sidecar interest. So like Gary Vee, it's the Jets. Like anyone who follows Gary Vee knows he wants to buy the Jets. That's his sidecar interest, and it's part of his brand and personality.
Yeah, so it's an important point. Like when someone thinks about you as a brand, what comes to mind other than great real estate agent? Like, do they know you for, oh, that's the guy who dresses well, or that's the guy who plays video, or the geeky agent, right? Yeah, or like, because that association immediately elevates you in the mind than just the agent, right? Oh yeah, that's the geeky agent, or that's that agent, or that's the guy who always wears that same cool thing. Dean Jackson wears a freaking cow on his head. I'm like, Dean, it's Dean, right? It'd be the cow. Like his big thing is the self-milking cow type of business, which is a weird imagery.
BJJ.
Yeah, cows doing BJJ. Yeah, I don't know where that was going. Was there another? Was there one last question? Yeah.
You're talking about every week, and most of us, we've done other training, we've learned things like 33 touch, where you do one newsletter, one email. Now you're telling us every week, and a lot of us, I think, are having that feedback where that seems like too much, and that's where some of these questions are coming from. So when we do every week, are we emailing them every week, or we're doing a different ad on Facebook targeting every week?
Yeah, no, so I would say if you have a piece of content that you could put out every week, and you just keep it consistent. Like
by email?
Yeah.
Email every week?
By email, which is also being mirrored with a Facebook ad, but just think like one distribution point every week.
Wow.
It seems like wow, but like you'd be surprised at like how much you do in your day that you're not capturing that could actually be valuable to someone on the other end. Like when you're looking up listens or
33 hits to hundreds of hits a year, which I can see is good, but are we going to get unsubscribes, and is that okay?
That's a good
or
thing.
that's just the content is being consumed that fast now?
Look at Chuck emails every day.
Emails his entire
For 12
database every
years.
day?
Yeah.
And
Well, not
you're doing
weekends,
well.
5 days a week. I
Only 5 days a week. Okay, fine. Not every day.
No, I heard a long time ago that, I mean, a couple of concepts that kind of run my life there is you can't over communicate with a passionate audience. If somebody's really into the Blue Jays, you really can't over communicate about baseball or anything like that. So the people that stay on my list are the people that like surf realtor.ca as a hobby. Right? Like that's the kind of thing. And I have that entertainment value where I, will crack a joke here and there. But I think the other thing, who was the guy that wrote this? But he basically said, only make calls on the days you want to make sales.
Right.
So I only send emails on
the days you
I
want to
wanna
make sales.
Sell some real estate. And that's the thing. People think, oh, it's the videos that I do. It's not. It's the fact that I send 2.4 million emails a year.
How many deals do you do a year?
2.4 million.
It's, let's just say,
Do you have a team?
between 100 and 200 is.
And do you have a team?
Yes. Yeah, you can't do that on your own.
Well, no.
You can't.
There's an episode with Chuck on Over a Pint,
2
hour and a
hours. Yeah, I
half,
watched it.
2 liters
Yeah.
of beer.
But I think
Yeah,
the point is,
watch-
I think the reason why it feels intimidating is because you might, like, one of the better things you can do is curate rather than create. So if you are not apt to create the content, which I think you can anyways, because again, I think people underestimate what they do on any given day doing their job that's actually valuable if you just captured it. But if even that is too much, like oftentimes you just need to curate content from other sources and package it in a way that someone could benefit from it, right? It's the phenomena of the DJ. The DJ doesn't create music, he just plays other people's music in a way that is entertaining to the viewer on the other end. And yet DJs are like the most paid bloody artists of all times right now, which
Really?
boggles my mind. Yeah, the top like 3
DJ Khaled.
out of like the top 10 highest paid Forbes artists in America last year, like 3 or 4 of them are DJs who just put music on play.
Don't even do this anymore. Now it's just.
Yeah, it's not
play on
even
iTunes.
little scratchy, it's literally play and then wear things and dance in front of people.
Say your
Um,
name. DJ Khaled. DJ
But
Khaled.
so if it feels intimidating to you, then curate rather than create, and that should be easier. As long as you have your finger on the pulse of your industry anyways, you're getting information. If you can just curate it and package it in a way that sounds good to someone on the other end. To some, yeah. To me, no.
It sounds almost harder to me to go and find stuff.
It depends on your systems. Like when I sold, I set up Google alerts for specific things related to my
Yeah.
town, and I basically every day get emailed content I can share out that's valuable to them. So
Yeah.
it's figuring out the systems to make that process easier.
So
I
we're not
guess-
posting that, but you're saying actually force feed it, email it.
Yeah,
get
but
it
if
out
you
there.
got, I would think that if you got like in the Google or whatever it was, right? Like if it was, I have alerts on too for like a bunch of different things, like where I live, my town, all that stuff. But if I get it and I see it, I'm like, okay, I just read this story about whatever's happening in my town, I think it would be easier and more impactful for me to just turn around and like flip the phone on and be like, hey,
Commentate.
I just read that this
Yep.
story's happening in our town. They're building this, a building down this way. Here's what I think about it. If you want to know more about it, and rather than just sharing that story out and
That's
saying,
better,
here you go.
but
right?
it's
Yeah.
time. Like if it's quick.
But it's all the same. It's like whatever works for you in your workflow. I mean, I think the takeaway I want everyone to have is like, I don't think the distribution of content is as difficult as it may have been presented. Whether you curate, commentate, create. And we're not talking about like long form content. Like I'm sure if you really needed to, and you knew that it would lead to business, do a 30-second video every day if you had to. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about like 20-minute like webinar, seminar. Nobody has time for that anyways. But if you got a nugget that's 30 seconds to a minute every day, there's a reason Instagram stories only allows for a minute video. A minute or 30 seconds? A minute.
She does my Instagram.
Stories, not stories, but
50?
video, yeah.
15, sorry. Right, 15 and Instagram video ads are 59 seconds. Like there's a reason for that, because that is how people consume content these days, right? It's in the seconds now, it's not in the minutes. So it's
Like my quick hit videos in the Wheelhouse group, I just 2-3 minutes max every day. I just answer questions, not every day because I don't have questions all the time, but 2-3 minute questions. Like he does another one in his group that I'm in, like 7 to 10 minute videos every day.
I don't know how they turn into 7 to 10 minute videos though, because they're literally, I'm just answering questions. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to give a 1 minute answer, and it turns into 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But because, and that could be another thing. Maybe you're just populating questions and all you're doing is answering questions. Then you don't even have to think about where they come from. So.
Okay, so I want to understand volume here because I don't want to do 100 deals a day. I don't want to change.
100 deals a day!
100 deals a day.
Chuck, yeah!
So all
Biggest agent ever.
all of this that you're, I don't know that I want to spend this kind of time on this marketing. I want to get a steady stream of leads to give me 24 to 36 deals a year. What does that look like? In
So
my
that,
world,
it's just a little bit different because like what we're talking about here a lot is like that brand building where eventually like leads come to us. Like for instance, like today we filled this room. I didn't spend any money on ads for it, as an example. If I hadn't spent the time doing the videos and doing all that stuff, if it was just a straight ad, it would have been a lot harder for me to fill this room. But this room filled differently because we did like the over a pints and we're doing like the group and engaging and being around the conference. So like it's just a different way you're doing it. I could have still filled this room paying for ads, but the second those ads are off, it's over. So it's like you're basically.
But you can reverse engineer. Let's say 25 deals a year. Let's call it that. Like how many leads do you need to talk to get 25 deals?
in my world
Sure.
right now, I need to be in front of 100 people,
Okay.
and I'll get 25. I'll get 1/4.
So you need to have 100 phone calls.
In front of them, not phone calls.
Okay.
I have to meet them.
Okay, so
I
let's.
lose 3/4 of the people I meet.
Okay, so let's just basically reverse engineer it. You know your numbers better than I, but let's say to get 25 deals, you need to meet with 100 people. In order to meet with 100 people, you need to have X number of phone calls. In order to have X number of phone calls, you need X number of leads.
Yes.
So my thing is, do it until you get that X number of phone calls, and then turn the thing off. And you're done.
But then I have to build it. That's where I'm at right now. My pipeline is empty because I did that and now it's done. So now I've got to keep that steady stream.
Well, no. If you're done, that means you didn't have the 100 phone calls.
Last year. I did.
Okay. So then, but then you just have the system that you can turn off and turn on.
Yeah, so I probably need to have somebody working with me versus me spending this time to build it.
I know a guy.
Chop, chop.
Because that's not where I want to spend my time.
No, of course, and most people don't.
Work.
Yeah.
You know,
So remember, the question that needs to be answered today is not do you need to do it, it's does it need to be done? And then if the answer is yes, then do I do it? Does a team member do it? Does someone who does this for a living do it for me? Like, that doesn't, that's irrelevant. But yeah, it's not should I do it or should I not do it. I think is it do I have to do it or does someone else do it? It's not really the question. Yeah, does it need to be done? Because sometimes you don't even need to ask how. Like if you're more interested in like, hey, I need to get this done, then there are people who can get it done for you, right? So yeah, last one, and I gotta jump.
What's your what kind of content or podcast are you like must watch or listen to?
Me, zero.
You don't.
That's just me though.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago, best year of my life. from like a progression in business and all that kind of standpoint. Only reason that happened was because I went on an information fast. No podcasts, no videos, no conferences, no books, no nothing. I blocked out the world of information out of my life. Because I think in every industry, I don't know about this industry, but at least in the industries that I roll in, there's a disease called infobesity. Too much information, not enough execution. And I realized that I've been consuming information for like years on end. And I said, for that year, I'm going to not consume one more piece of content. I'm just going to deploy content that I already knew that I had that would be beneficial for me. Great year. And then since then, I've been on a strict information diet, if you will. I couldn't tell you the last book I read. I try not to watch or listen to podcasts. Not because I don't think they're good, but I just can't be distracted. Like, I know what I need to accomplish this quarter, and I'm just focusing on this quarter. And then I know what I'll need to accomplish next quarter. And if I don't, then maybe I'll read a book or a podcast or something that'll feed me something. And I'm like, okay, now I know my quarter's focus. But yeah, I know that's probably not the best answer, but like,
We call it the shiny object syndrome.
yeah, sure. And it exists. And I think the only way to like to deal with that is cold turkey. Like, for now, right? For now, except for over a pint.
Watch it.
That's a good one. Just for
Next
entertainment.
episode was great.
For entertainment value. No other reason.
Like, I look for specific problems and then find the content to solve it. Like, we wanted to fix our onboarding process, so I got actually Nick suggested the book, but it was a book on how to improve your onboarding process, so I went and got that. And so I just look for, like, I know what the problem is, find the content to solve that problem.
And if you can, like, just like, my big thing is like one focus a quarter. Like one thing, one major pivotal movement thing a quarter. And that just keeps me focused.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate it a lot.
Thanks for pizza. Thank you, everybody.
Do you guys want a quick break or just keep going?
We do a break and autograph session? We gotta go.
Do you got time for a couple photos?
I can take 5 minutes.
Okay.
My wife is like, where the F are you? Good thing I live in Mississauga.
Cool. Yeah, you want your books on?
Not for that, because there's only one person who submitted anything.
It was Jamie.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I never heard from you, and I've been crying for weeks.
Well, now I know what to write in your book. I'm sorry.
You're hired?
Or that. Actually, yeah.
All right,
I'll
come
go.
to that. We were just
I'll
like, pick the 10 best, they get the book, one person will get hired, one response
Yeah,
a couple
so
weeks
yeah,
later.
that was an interesting play in the sense where that, like,
It's great content for when I talk, though.
nobody but one.
Love when you're a dad and you get the top, the text from your wife. Her daughter just shot shit across the room. And
Oh, yeah.
Stuff
Oh,
taken
Chris.
out.
Love that. What's your
Oh,
name?
that's amazing.
Blue, C-I-N-D-Y,
Perfect.
hyphen L-O-U.
-L-O-U?
Yes.
She's 5 weeks, so it's, yeah, it's fairly, we're still in the up the backer phase.
How's baby? Is that what we're talking about? Andrew?
Pardon?
We're talking about your new one?
Yeah.
Can I kick the camera out? Is it all?
Okay, no.
She just went like across the room with a big
It's not ever
Nice.
okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Charlene, C-H-A.